I want to take you through my entire process for creating an acrylic painting, from the thumbnail to the refined drawings, and then finally onto the finished painting. But there's a twist. In this video, I'm going to try and paint 7 new paintings that I'm then just going to give away. I recently created this small painting of a bear. I wanted to experiment with the style a little bit more, so I thought, why not use this as an opportunity to give away some paintings? So stick around to see how you can get your hands on one. I'm going to be working on these small 5x7" canvas boards. I didn't want to do anything too big, and you'll see exactly why I chose this size a little bit later on in this video. I've been sent some paints from Alpha 6, which I'm going to be using for these pieces, and they were the same paints that I used for the bear. I mean, just look at all of those colours. It's like a rainbow. Actually, that gives me an idea. There's 7 colours in the rainbow. I'm trying to make 7 paintings, so I'm going to try and make a painting for each of the colours. But before I can do that, I need a plan. I need to figure out exactly what it is that I'm going to paint on each of those 7 canvases. Based on the bear that I've already painted, I know I want to do 7 animal portraits. So first I need to decide on which animals I want to paint. I've got my list, but now I need to turn these into actual designs. And the best way to go about that is with thumbnail sketches. Thumbnail drawings are essentially mini blueprints for your artwork. These little sketches may be small, but they pack a big punch when it comes to planning your art. They're fast, loose, and ironically, focus on the big picture: composition, layout, and flow. Think of them like the skeleton of your creative process. No details, no stress, just ideas on paper. Thumbnails are a perfect way to test out multiple ideas without committing to a big piece. Instead of spending hours on a drawing that doesn't quite work, you can try a handful of layouts in just minutes. Plus, it's an awesome way to get past artist block. Like, you don't know where to start? Start small. I spent a while looking at reference photos and thinking about what I wanted these paintings to look like before I came to doing the thumbnails. When I'm creating thumbnails, there's 3 things that I focus on. Composition, which is thinking about how do all of the elements fit together, and I use simple shapes to block out the key parts. Then I'm thinking about values. So even just with that pencil, I'm thinking about the light and the dark areas, just roughly creating a sketch, just giving that impression of depth and contrast and where I want that in the big final painting. And then finally, there is storytelling. What is the mood or the message? Even a tiny thumbnail should hint at the bigger picture that you're planning. I mean, in this case, they're portraits. The most important thing of these is the colour, so there isn't really that much of a story behind these pieces. Also, it's important to remember that these thumbnails are meant to be rough and imperfect. Mistakes are part of the process. If an idea isn't working, move on to the next one. That is the beauty of thumbnails. They're quick and disposable. Once you've found a thumbnail that you love, it becomes your roadmap for the finished artwork. And trust me, having a clear vision makes the whole process so much easier. So next time you're stuck starting a new piece, pick up a pencil and spend a few minutes with thumbnails. They might just save you hours of frustration, and you never know, they could spark some amazing ideas. Now I need to do some more refined drawings and create something that is around the same size as what I want to paint. I've also got to decide on the actual colours that I'm going to use for each of the paintings. Just because I'm heavily featuring one colour doesn't mean it's the only colour that I'm going to use. But we'll get onto the colours later. Now it's time to get the drawings done. Before I even pick up a paintbrush, I like to take the time to create a completely separate refined drawing. For me, this step isn't optional. It's a crucial part of my process. And let me share why this extra step can make all of the difference in your final paintings. Firstly, expanding on your thumbnails and creating this separate refined drawing gives you space to work out your ideas without the pressure of jumping straight into the painting. Making sure that the composition feels balanced, the proportions are spot on, and the details tell the story that you want them to. By keeping this process separate from the painting itself, I can focus fully on design and structure without worrying about colour, texture, or the messiness of paints. It's a chance to give my ideas the attention they deserve, but one step at a time. It's also a really good way to experiment. Obviously, I've already used the thumbnails to come up with designs, but before I commit to the paint, I can still make adjustments in this design phase. I can refine the pose, rework the shapes, and even try different compositions if I'm not entirely happy. This gives me a chance to visualise what the final piece might look like without having to commit to the actual painting process. So I know if there's any changes that I'm going to need to make before I've even put paint on canvas. Another reason I create this refined drawing separately is that it allows me to fully understand the subject. Whether it's a figure, a landscape, or something abstract, spending time on a detailed study helps me connect with it on a deeper level. By the time I start that painting, I already know exactly where I'm headed. I decided on charcoal for these drawings because it has the freedom that paint provides. Even though it's a dry medium, it can still be worked and reworked just like paint on a canvas. These paintings aren't going to be super realistic, photorealistic pieces, so these drawings don't need to be either. They want to be expressive and fun. I find that having this separate drawing doesn't just guide the painting, it inspires it. The drawing becomes a reference point that I can return to that keeps me focused on the original vision even as I start to explore colour, texture, and add other creative elements into that painting. So you might be thinking, why not just sketch directly onto the canvas? Well, for me, separating the two steps helps me stay focused. The drawing stage is all about planning, and the painting stage is all about execution. Keeping them distinct ensures that each step gets the attention it needs. I also really like the idea that I'm finishing with not just a painting, but a drawing that stands on its own. Sometimes I'll even frame those drawings alongside the painting to show how the process evolved. It's a reminder that the journey to creating art is just as important as the destination. At the end of the day, for me, creating a separate refined drawing isn't just an extra step. It's a way to elevate my entire process. It allows me to plan thoughtfully, experiment freely, and then, finally, approach the painting with a clarity and a confidence that I just wouldn't have had without doing those drawings.
Now I've got these drawings done, it's time to paint. And I am going to give these away too.
I did some small colour triangles to work out some plans for the palettes, and I think I'm pretty happy with the colours that I've chosen. The only thing left to do now is actually paint them. First up, and one of my favourite animals to paint, is the African painted dog. These incredible creatures are known for their striking patchwork-like coats, which makes them perfect for experimenting with these bold colour schemes. I'm using mainly orange, with hints of blue in the palette for this piece. The warm oranges bring out the dog's energy and wild spirit, while those cooler blues add contrast and balance, hopefully creating a dynamic and eye-catching effect. I'm not focusing too much on details, I'm just focusing on blending the colours loosely, allowing the vibrant palette hopefully make the piece feel bold and modern. My goal is to capture the character of the animal while still giving the painting a bit of artistic flair. I'm using the palette knife just to knock back some of that background, add a little bit of texture to the painting to give it a little bit more interest. And then that's one painting down. Only 6 more to go. Wish me luck. I think I'm going to call it for the night and come back to the rest tomorrow. Well, I don't think I'll get them all done in one day, but we'll see how far we get. Next up is the blue piece, and for this one I decided to paint a lion. I'm starting each piece with washes of the primary colour and then going over with darker versions of that colour to refine the form and the values. Then I'm introducing a contrasting colour, in this case it's orange again. I chose 3 different blues, an orange and a yellow as the colour palette, along with black and white. Black and white I've used in every single one of these paintings. I'm not actually going for any semblance of realism, I'm just smushing paint onto the canvas. These paintings aren't meant for photorealism, they're just for having fun, and that's what I've tried to do with each one of them. Right, let's get on to the next piece. This one is probably my favourite of the 3 I've done so far. I decided to go with yellow as my primary colour for the cougar. I've been painting for about 3 hours at this point, and really settling into the flow of the work. For the cougar, I used a light yellow, golden yellow, burnt caramel, and then a French blue as the contrasting colour, which is kind of like a very light bluish purple. I've also got a touch of pink, which I add to the nose. For each of the paintings in this series, I picked 3 versions of my chosen rainbow colour. Then, its complementary colour, followed by slight touches of one of the other primaries. If you aren't sure about the terminology I'm using to describe the colours, go and check out my last video all about colour mixing. I explain all about the colours and the complements at an introductory level. I painted this cougar a little differently to the other 2. I painted the structure, form and values with my 3 yellows, then used the contrast, that blue, to add the ambient lighting to the shadows on the left hand side of the face. I think that bluey purple really made the face pop and added an extra level of dimension to the shape of the cougar. Yeah, I'm really happy with this one, but let's see what we can do with the next one. I only managed to get those 2 paintings done today, so I'm going to come back tomorrow and hopefully try and get the rest of them done. But seeing as how long they take, I don't think that's going to happen. But we'll see. Not gonna lie, this one was a bit of a challenge. Red is always a difficult colour to work with, and very red paintings can tend to look a little bit gruesome. I wanted to achieve the same effect I did with the cougar, but this time, instead of using the complement as the ambient lighting, I wanted it to be the main red. I did this because I used a lot of grey in this painting. We know zebras are essentially black and white, and I wanted to keep that, and not just paint a red zebra with black stripes. So I featured the red as the ambient light, which is a light reflected back on a subject from its environment. Obviously, in reality, this wouldn't be a red colour unless the zebra was inside a red room or stood next to something bright red, so I have used a little bit of artistic license. In hindsight, red used in that way may not have been the best idea, as the painting starts to look like I've decapitated a zebra. Amber pointed it out to me, and now I can't unsee it. So I need to make some adjustments before the final reveal. But before that, I've got 3 more paintings to do. First up is the green gorilla, and I chose a different set of colours for this. We've got greens, browns and blues, so there's no real contrasting complementary colour in this palette. I did use a little bit of an orange in the eye, so I suppose that contrasts the blue a little bit, but I wanted something a little bit more harmonious for this one. I used the green for the base of the gorilla, and then used the browns to start to build up some of the shadowy areas, and then some of the blue for that ambient lighting. Then, just like with the zebra, I wanted a little bit of grey on the face, so I mixed my white and black, and then used this sort of like minty green colour to add a sort of a fade on the left-hand edge, almost as if this gorilla is coming out of the mist. Then I used a nice teal colour to add some final, abstract, almost sketchy lines to the painting, which I really thought added a sense of movement to the piece.
These paintings are taking a heck of a lot longer than I thought they were going to, but I think we're at the last day now. So fingers crossed I get them finished, and then I'll show you the final pieces once they're all done. Let's get to it.
These next two pieces are my favourite of all of the 7 that I've done. I'm about 3 days into painting and about a week into the entire process of making this video, and I've really settled into the flow of the work. As each piece is completed, I just feel more and more comfortable with creating the next and enjoying the process of each piece so much more. The wolf was made with purples, some reds, some yellow, and some of those like bluier, lighter colours like that French blue that I talked about earlier. This indigo section of the rainbow is the bluier side of the purple. I created most of the wolf using the purples, and then just added some highlights using some yellows, and then some of that ambient lighting using the reddy pink colours. Then, finally, finishing off with some more abstract texture using the palette knife. I wanted all of these pieces to look similar, so they all have a similar finish with the palette knives. This is it. We are on to the final painting, and it has been a long time coming. Even though each of these paintings are only small, it has taken me a long time to do 7 thumbnail sketches, 7 drawings, and then 7 full paintings. This one is supposed to be on the violet end of the spectrum, and if I'm being very honest, I don't really know what the difference is between indigo and violet. I just assumed that the violet would be slightly more towards the red side of purple. So there's a lot of pinks and a lot of blues hidden within this painting. This is actually my favourite of all 7 of the paintings. I don't know what it was about this piece, but everything that I'd learned in all of the others seemed to work together to create this one final painting, and I absolutely love it. I love all that intensity brought about by the pink colours and the oranges in the background and the eyes. I feel like there is just a good sense of form and 3D shape to this piece, which I further accentuate with some of these like abstract, sketchy blue lines that I first put in the gorilla and have now made its way into this piece as well. As I said, I've enjoyed the process so much, but I am very glad it's over.
Each one of the paintings that you've seen in today's video were made using my Studio Wildlife brush set. I actually sold out of all 300 sets pretty quickly, so I had a final 60 sets made, and that's where the giveaway comes in. I'm going to be giving away all of these artworks, and you know what? As the bear is what kickstarted this entire idea in the first place, I'm going to give this one away too. I'm going to be randomly hiding the paintings and drawings inside the sets, so that everyone who buys one of these will also have a chance of getting some free original artwork with their set as well.
All you need to do to be in with a chance of getting one of these original artworks for yourself is go to my website, studiowildlife.com, and buy a brush set for yourself. Buy two. Who knows? You might find two artworks. I'll leave a link in the description directly to the brush sets.
Good luck, and thanks for watching.